What is up, you guys? Today we are back with another recap, and this time we're doing Avatar: The Way of Water. When an old threat resurfaces in Pandora, Jake and Neytiri must do everything in their power to protect the Omaticaya and their children. Several years after the last war in Pandora, Jake Sully is now married to Neytiri, and together they rule over the Omaticaya tribe. The two of them share 3 biological children. 2 sons Lok-Am and Neteyam, as well as a daughter named Tuk. They've also adopted a daughter named Kiri from Grace's avatar. While Kiri's conception was a mystery that nobody could unfold, Neytiri and Jake welcomed her into their family with open arms. After the war, most of the Sky people had left. However, a little boy named Spider was left behind since he was too small to be put into a cryo chamber, and he too was accepted into their little family. Despite Spider growing up around Neytiri's children, she still felt hesitant to welcome him into their family. According to her, Spider did not fit the Na'vi people, despite him acting like them. It also does not help that Spider's father is Colonel Miles, who had destroyed her old village and killed several members of the tribe. However, Jake assures her that everything will be okay since Spider is nothing like his father and even grew up without his influence. Although Neytiri had her reservations, her children get along with Spider and even incorporated him into everything that they do as a family. One night, Jake and Neytiri were celebrating their date night and they notice a bright flash in the sky. Jake immediately recognizes it as one of the spacecrafts that humans had brought from Earth when he traveled to Pandora. Before the two of them can react, the spacecraft uses a laser beam and destroys a large area of the planet, successfully killing animals and people who were too slow to get away. Neytiri is shocked to see that once again, humans have caused mass destruction of the Na'vi people. She begins crying as Jake holds her, and they watch as the armed robots get out of the spacecraft and begin setting up a new operation station since the last one was destroyed during the war. Colonel Miles wakes up disoriented and immediately has his guard up. In his confused state, he begins to attack scientists, but his comrades manage to calm him down. The Colonel's human body was destroyed during the First War, which is why the scientists had implanted all of his memories and data that he collected while he was alive into his avatar's mind. The only thing that he was not able to recall is the memories before he died and how he actually died. One thing that the Colonel seems sure of is that he wants to take his revenge by killing everyone in that tribe, and Jake, whom he blames for losing control of everything. As the Colonel's mission begins, Jake comes up with a plan to get rid of the humans so that peace can be restored. He tells the Na'vi men that they will be attacking the RDA train line and stealing as much ammunition as they can before the Colonel retaliates. All of them get on the scones and manage to take down the train. While everyone rushes to gather the supplies, Loak is told by Jake to keep an eye on any intruders that may be approaching them. In a true teenage manner, he doesn't listen and starts gathering supplies with the others, and all of a sudden, the Colonel's men launch an attack on them, causing Loak to get buried under parts of a destroyed aircraft. Once Jake and his men take down the enemy, they head back to their base, where Jake reprimands Loak for almost getting himself killed. The next morning, despite Jake telling his sons to be more careful, they head into the forest where Grace had built an old bunker. This was also where she kept Jake and her cryo chamber hidden, and at the same time, the Colonel comes up with a plan with General Armdor, and he proposes that they should go back to the forest where the first war took place to gather information on the Na'vi people since they've evolved. And this is why the Colonel and several of his men land in the forest in front of the bunker. The kids who were hiding behind a bush kept watch as the Colonel and his men were unaware of who they were. And after seeing them, they assumed that they were indigenous Na'vis. Loak contacts Jake, who tells him that they should try to escape. The children make a run for it, but they are caught, and upon inspecting them, the Colonel realizes that the children belong to Jake. He doesn't get a chance to kidnap them because Jake and Neytiri arrive at the location and begin fighting the humans. They were about to leave, however, a Spider gets caught again and is taken back to the spacecraft by the Colonel. He keeps Spider there and interrogates him for hours, but Spider remains loyal to his adopted family. During the interrogation, the Colonel realizes that Spider is his son and tries to win him over by telling him that he only wants to take Spider back to Earth. Hearing this, Spider ends up revealing all the info that he knew about Jake and the Na'vis. Back at the tribe's base, Jake talks to Neytiri and tells her that they need to leave because the Colonel will attack them again. And even though she doesn't want to leave, she agrees, and the two of them along with their children fly to a place called Omaticaya where another Na'vi tribe lives. This tribe lives mainly in water, and their leader, Tonawari, at first denies them entry, but when Jake tells them that they're being chased by humans, he allows them to stay there. As the days go by, Tonawari gets his children to teach Jake's children how to swim and adapt underwater. Out of all of them, Kiri is the one who adjusts underwater easily and is even able to communicate with sea creatures. However, one day, Kiri was getting bullied by Tonawari's son, Aunu, when Loak comes to her rescue. He beats Aunu for messing with Kiri, but when Jake hears this, he asks Loak to apologize to him. With no other choice left, Loak apologizes to Aunu, but this apology is not enough for him, and he decides to get his revenge. Under the pretense of going for another swimming lesson, Aunu and his friends lead Loak deep under the sea. And this is where dangerous creatures lurk, and they decide to leave him alone. At first, Loak begins to panic as creatures begin attacking him. However, he's saved just in time by a creature known as the Payakan. The Payakan is a Tulkin, a sea creature that almost resembles a whale, and as the Payakan takes Loak toward the shore, he senses that the creature is in pain. When he goes underwater, he discovers that there are harpoons stuck in there, and he helps free them from the Payakan's skin, and as a result, the creature builds a close bond with him. Soon, Loak reaches the shore and is confronted by Tonawari, who is extremely disappointed with his son. He orders Aunu to apologize to Loak for luring him into a trap, while Loak surprisingly takes his side and takes all of the blame. Because of this, Aunu stops seeing the other Na'vis as their enemy, and the next day, Loak and his friends gather around as he begins to tell them that he was rescued by the Payakan. However, no one believes him, and they tell him that the Payakan is the most dangerous sea creature and that it's actually gone rogue. Back at the spacecraft, Spider builds a better bond with the Colonel and even begins to trust that he only wants to explore Pandora and investigate the Na'vi people. He takes the Colonel to the mountains and helps him catch a scone that the Na'vis were using to travel from one place to another. On the other hand, Kiri goes underwater with some of her friends and bonds with one of the Tulkins, but ends up having a seizure. Her friends rush her back to the shore where Jake and the other scientists help her out. And while they were busy with this, the Colonel is told that they found the location of Jake's Sully. He immediately heads to the village where he's at and asks the Na'vi people if they'd seen Jake. When they don't give him an answer, he kills one of their Tulkins and lights their village on fire. Spider tries to stop the Colonel, but he was hell-bent on getting his revenge. As the Colonel starts killing more Tulkins, the Omaticayans wanted to join the fight, but Jake tells them that this is exactly what the Colonel wants. And meanwhile, Loak realizes that the Payakan may be in danger and jumps into the water to check up on his friend. His friends and siblings end up following him, but to their horror, the Sky People arrive at their exact location with the help of the trackers that they'd attached to the Tulkins. All of them except for Neytiri are caught and taken to a ship where they're bound to a railing. Seeing that their children have been caught, the Na'vis launch their attack as well, and before Jake can get closer, the Colonel threatens to kill his children if they continue with their attack. Just as he was about to give up, the Payakan jumps out of the water and lands on the ship, causing the Colonel to lose several men and machinery. This gives Jake the chance to free his children and asks them to escape, but as per usual, Loak stays back because he wanted to help free Spider. Neytiri goes along with him and they finally manage to rescue Spider. However, as the three siblings were leaving, Neytiri gets fatally shot. When Neytiri sees that her son is dead, she begins to mourn, and Jake calms her down by telling her that they need to be focused because both their daughters have now been kidnapped by the Colonel. The two of them eventually arrive at the ship, where they manage to kill all of the Colonel's men and even rescue Tuck. However, the Colonel holds Kiri hostage and asks Jake to put his weapon down. Just then, Neytiri shows up holding a knife to Spider's neck. Not being able to see his son is in danger, the Colonel lets Kiri go. Jake then attacks the Colonel and manages to overpower him, and in the end, Spider rescues his father from sinking to the bottom of the ocean, but refuses to leave with him. On the other end, Jake and Neytiri send Natayam's body to the bottom of the ocean amongst the coral reefs. And with that, the movie, Avatar: The Way of Water, comes to an end.